The coral honeysuckle has filled in and started doing its marvelous blooming. We did have some Carolina jessamine blooms. They were fairly sporadic, a couple at a time, no big flush like you would expect on a mature specimen, so that wasn't much of a spectacle to show y'all. We did get, interestingly, seed pod formation on this fringe tree, which means it's a female, if anyone's wanting to adopt a nice lush 15-gallon fringe tree. So beautyberry, this is about 7-ish months in the ground, is filling in nicely. And oh look, there's some flower formation at the node there. I just did a big prune on the button sage to prune the last 2 feet that were rubbing against the house when the wind blew too hard. It wasn't really, we don't want to beat up the house with our plants, so we trimmed that back a little bit. The Tampa verbena has really filled in and matured nicely. We got some pellitory invasion or volunteering, depending on your perspective, going on back here. Pellitory is an edible species. It hosts the red admiral butterfly, so we leave an abundance of it for the bunnies and whatever else likes to forage on that. But the Tampa verbena has filled in very nicely. The Oakley fleabane, wow, that's really been the star. I mean, there's just so much floral abundance, and this is one plant planted in the shade, mulched, maybe a little bit of feed, but not much, certainly not regularly. And then here's the other Tampa verbena. Crenulated lead plant is on its second bloom phase of this cycle. And you can see those gorgeous flowers. They just look like a miniaturized version of false indigo. And, oh, that is the infamous lubber. Oh my god, it's going to destroy this federally listed endangered species. Oh no, just kidding. Crenulate lead plant, Amorpha crenulata. Frostweed bloomed once for us, and then it kind of like turned into brown sticks with little seed head things hanging on it. We just left that. Pruned a couple of them a little shorter for bee habitat next year, stem nesting bees, but this regrowth hasn't really bloomed much. That was only in the ground 4 months before winter though, so I wouldn't call that a well-established specimen. Here's our ovate leaf Indian plantain. We are just on the edge of our seat. I was honestly waiting for this to do this update, but it's like, if I don't do this soon, you guys are going to miss all this crazy oak leaf fleabane. I mean, this is one specimen that I planted, but by all means buy 6 if you want to. So ovate leaf Indian plantain, this was the species that I highlighted in a previous video about treating insect stings, formic acid stings from ants, wasps, bees. Also stinging nettle, I think, is comprised of formic acid on a chemistry level. And I showed you the leaf, but I didn't really highlight the plant a whole lot. The fiddlewood has bloomed once with this teeny tiny little like 6 bloom cluster, but here you can see like, oh, we're happy. Tons of blooms forming. Oh, that's just going to be a magical fragrance that my neighbor's just going to love. And that was the goal, really. So this will grow into a 10-foot tall shrub. In the end, this would be the plant that we would leave behind to fill this space and remain in our wake. Lance-leaf tick seed. I think I planted a goldenrod thinking it was a goldenrod, and it turned out to be lance-leaf tick seed. So they have some really similar foliage in the beginning that I haven't quite figured out how to recognize from sprouts, but there we have it, and it's welcome. Oh, look. Oh, there's 2 more eastern lubbers. I wonder how the hell they got here. I've never seen them here before. That's crazy. This is the first time I have ever seen a honeybee gathering pollen or nectar on Coreopsis. Oh wow, look. It's like the lubber's getting in on the tick seed nectar and pollen too. Get it, boy. Girl. They, them. This is Eastern Smoothleaf Aster, which, like I've told y'all in the past and shown you in the early videos, if you go back to the early videos, before I started moving it around and trying to find the perfect spot, this is its permanent place now. It just bloomed. It's loaded with seeds right now. it just blooms and seeds, blooms and seeds, blooms and seeds in repetitive cycles for me. And the faster I remove the seed pods and heads off, the faster it produces new blooms, so adapt accordingly. Here's another one that we added. Then over here is Symphytrichum georgiana, which has not done much since its initial bloom spike when we first planted it. And then over here we added a western silverleaf aster, Symphytrichum ceruseum. Here we added soft hair coneflower, Rudbeckia mollis. And then here we put in a leavenworth stick seed, because I really haven't toyed much with leavenworths to get to know it. Clustered bushmint. This was a star with a 6-foot flower spike coming up to about here. You know, that one was still bringing in some cool native wasps in the winter. Back here we added a slender goldenrod. It's finally putting out a second set of blooms. Look, it's got 3 flower spikes. That's exciting. I really miss having a lot of goldenrod. This is firebush, Amelia patens varpatens. We hope it's native. It passes, you know, the signs that I can tell: fuzzy leaves, 3-leaf clusters, mostly red flowers. Oh, and look, here we got some aphid predation there, hanging out on the flowers. That's you know, that's ladybug food, and lacewing food, and parasitic wasp food. Firebush blooms pretty much year-round, except in freezes or in the aftermath of freezes when it's recovering. Here we have the false indigo. Look at all these blooms that are about to bust. I will be posting tantalizing pictures of this in the next few weeks as these express blooms. Look at all of them. Wow. So this is like year 1.5, I think. This one was put in the ground this has probably been in the ground 8 months. But it's also right near the downspouts, getting extra water inputs. You can see that we added some cardinal flower there, and after it bloomed, it just kind of died last year late in the summer, so I thought I'd lost it, but it certainly came back. And here we've got some Glades lobelia with its lovely purple flowers there. That's kind of leaning onto the Ratibida columnifera prairie coneflower, which is a more wetland species. And then we added another Rudbeckia mollis here, the soft hair coneflower, because y'all know I love coneflowers if you've been paying attention. And the sky blue aster has mostly finished blooming at this point. I mean, it was pretty spectacular. I posted pictures if you were following along. I'm sure you saw some of that. Soft hair coneflower is kind of like the star of the yard right now. I mean, look at these gorgeous blooms. Rudbeckia mollis. And again, Rudbeckia is a keystone genus for native bees, providing tons of pollen and nectar essential for native bee reproductive cycles, and the perfect sync with their needs, provided the climate doesn't go weird. Back here we've got the orange coneflower, Rudbeckia fulgida, and they really have not bloomed for us yet. Those little purple flowers, they make up for it, totally. Now when I came out here this morning, this wild petunia was covered in blooms. You can kind of see the remnants laying in the detritus at the bottom, right? I mean, they're all over. Those were all on the plant earlier. These flowers do not last long, but they are spectacular for the moment that they last. And then back here we added a wand or slender goldenrod. This is its first flower spike ever. That is mad exciting. This is kind of the end of goldenrod's bloom cycle though for the year, kind of tapering out until fall starts. Back here we added some purple coneflower. They're not doing much, so we'll talk about that when they are. This is our native blanket flower, Gaillardia estivalis. I could not tell you what its common name is. It's kind of new to me. So And then we added this little bugger, I think it's cottony golden aster. And then the cutleaf coneflower. This is the second set of blooms. You can see the previous one here with all the little seeds on it. Right, and then it just keeps putting out blooms, seeds, blooms. Florida green eyes doing its magic. Super drought tolerant, nice little ground cover, diminutive wildflower, endemic here in Florida. The Stokes aster, not doing much yet, but we just added those a couple months ago in the back here. The flatwood sunflowers finally starting to do normal flatwood sunflower things, showing you exactly what I love about this plant. You can see the seed pod still hanging out. It's just pumping out flowers, 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 more flowers. You know, sunflowers are prime pollen for 50 native bee species, required pollen for their reproductive cycle. 70 species of Lepidoptera host on them. That means 120 plus creatures eat as soon as you put this in your yard. This is lance leaf tick seed again. This is the kidney leaf rosin flower. Silphium is also a keystone genus, feeds lots of native bees. That's the starry rosin flower, Silphium compositum, which feeds tons of native bees as well. This is seaside heliotrope, which is a PA alkaloid producer. That's a necessary and essential nutrient, medicinal and nutritional for some species of insects that they need in their diet. And this one is much better behaved than scorpion tail. Snowy milkweed doing snowy milkweed things when it's happy and moist. Bloom seed, bloom seed, bloom seed, constant source of nectar. Love that about it. And then beach creeper in a pot blooming. Figured I'd show that too. This is a salt tolerant beach species. It's a little bit cold sensitive, so more for us Central and South Florida folks to enjoy. We added Florida false sunflower, Phoebanthus grandiflorus. There we added a Rudbeckia hirta var floridana, Florida black-eyed Susan. This is small leaf square stem. You can see this one has been in the ground about 8 months, but you know, that's it, about a foot tall, maybe 2. Maybe it eventually climbs on top of itself, and you know, it kind of seems to grow in layers like that. But this is a constant source of nectar. It was a little bit cold sensitive, kind of stopped blooming, but even now in this sparseness, there's always 2 or 3 functional food producing blossoms at a time on the plant. And then there's blue stem prickly poppy, which I just tossed some seeds back there to make this happen. So you can kind of see all these blossoms on here. I mean, this is just about getting ready to bust with blooms, and I can't wait to show you all that. That was really, you know, what I was going for, was something with some wow. That'd be a nice curb appeal here. Also provide shade eventually to this south side of the home. And this really has spectacular flowers when it blooms, so I can't wait to show you all that. So the Maryland golden aster is doing great. We did lose the Conradina grandiflora that was over here, and the Simpson stopper still shows no signs of life. But we keep watering it.